Thank you for joining me live from the grooming table. I am Amy Lee, certified professional pet groomer since 2003, but it is absolutely my pleasure to share with you all of my secrets of the pet grooming industry that I have obtained for over 20 years. Coming right back at you, my friend. And the reason I do this is because it's important to share this information. Pet parents are becoming very much on board for caring for their pets between grooming appointments. Sometimes some pet parents are doing all the grooming themselves. Many of you are here right now today. And look at you guys. I see you coming from all over the place. I'm so glad you're here. But having a place to learn proper pet grooming techniques, knowing what tools, products to use, where to get them, what's safe, what's recommended by professionals, and they are available to you too. And that's why there's always so many links in my video descriptions, because I provide all that information right back at you guys so that you can provide the same quality level of care to your pets at home as us professionals do. Many of you are pet groomers. Many of you are just learning to groom. So many of my channel members, and I just met with them yesterday, are beginner groomers, and they remind me of myself when I began grooming. I was 180% in. I was just in. And I wanted to learn as much as possible, and I wanted to provide the best care for the pets I groomed. I couldn't wait to learn more as I was going through my training, and I'm seeing that in my hound channel members, and I love it. It just brings me back all those years, and I can't believe how fast time flies, but it does. I feel like I was a baby groomer only yesterday, but it really was years ago. But tonight I have a great topic for you guys, and it couldn't come at a better time. It's appropriate. Yeah, maybe I do try to plan my content a little bit around the seasons. I think that's smart to do that for you guys so it can be helpful. But tonight's topic is how to keep your dog's long trim mat-free. Winter coats, fall coats, we want longer coats for our dogs in the winter, in the fall, for sure. We start wanting that at that point. And that's when groomers start to see a lot of problems. When the dogs come back in for their regularly scheduled grooming appointments, they notice that the coat's not being kept up with enough. And sometimes then they have to go shorter, and they don't want to. But there's reasons for that. And I'm going to tell you how to avoid that, guys. Whether you're caring for your pets between grooming appointments, whether you groom your pet yourself, or whether if you are a professional groomer, I'm going to tell you how to build this power plan with your clients so that the dogs aren't matted. They're always well cared for, and you have room for it in your schedule. Don't ask me how I'm going to do this. I am going to do it. I already did it for years, and I'm going to share it with you guys. It's common in the fall that our pet parents want a longer coat. As the crisp fall weather settles in, that's a reminder. It's coming. Many of us prefer longer trims for our dogs, hoping to keep them cozy and, not so cold during these winter months and fall months. It can get quite cold depending on where you live. It is cold where I live in the winter. Usually about January and February, it's just intolerable. So November, December isn't so bad, but those later months of winter are pretty bad for us. I'm going to show you a picture here to kind of set the tone, give you an idea what I'm talking about. So here's my big, beautiful boy. You guys know who this is. This is Gus. Well, as you can see, Gus on the right, he's in a winter trim. He's in a fall trim. I'm able to keep him longer and fluffy, but boy, is it a lot more work for me maintaining that coat. Now you see on the left, that's his typical spring and summer haircut right there. It's not drastic, but if you look closely, there's a lot less hair to deal with on Gus on the left than there is on Gus on the right. And it really affects how much brushing and bathing and conditioning I have to do in between full grooms to keep him like that. Because the goal, hey, we can have longer coats, but we can't have longer coats with mats. So we have to, that's not fair to the dog. So we have to find a way. Well, I have a way. Longer coats are beautiful, but hey, beware. They can quickly become matted and hard to maintain between those grooming appointments. And I know it firsthand as a groomer, maintaining my big boy with all that coat. It can get out of hand quickly. This video came just in time for you. Tonight, I am going to arm you with a detailed guide to keep your dog's coat mat-free during this season of longer trim styles. A lot of people want them, and I understand that. If you follow my advice, your dog will remain gorgeous, smelling great, and mat-free throughout the holidays. That's what we want. And yes, because the holidays are right around the corner. We're going to have a lot of visitors. Your dog wants to show off and strut their stuff too. If we can keep them in fluffy, beautiful trims, we will do that. But there is certain things that we must do in order to keep our dogs in a longer coat. So are you ready? Well, let's get to it. I love saying that. Let's get to it. Now, did you know that this is a great fact? Are you listening? You guys perk up those ears. Did you know that fall and winter bring moisture, which can cause the coat to tangle more easily? So here we are in winter. We want these long, beautiful coats, and the weather's working against us? Yes, and I want you to be aware of that so that you're ready for it and you're going to know what to do and how to maintain your dog's coat. Definitely more moisture in the air in fall and winter, and that can definitely cause your dog's coat to tangle, believe it or not. So this can work against you while you're trying to maintain a longer trim style for your dog. Don't worry, because I have a plan for you. Whether you're a professional or you groom your dog yourself or you maintain your dog between grooming appointments, I have a plan for you to keep your dog in a longer coat and not have to wear mats. So keep in mind, this is another fun fact, but it's important. A dog's hair follicle, one single hair follicle in a dog, can share up to 30 hairs in that one follicle, whereas a human's hair follicle only has one hair per follicle. So I'm pointing this out to you because when choosing a longer trim style for your dog, that means much, much more hair that you have to keep brushed out, bathed, conditioned, versus a shorter trim. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to understand that if you want a longer coat. It's much more work, it's much more hair. And when I say hair, I just pointed out, I mean each follicle shares a lot of hairs, and now it's longer. So it's more hair to deal with. That's why people feel it gets away from them to keep up with their dog's coat quickly, because when you have a longer coat, it can get away from you quickly. But if you can't commit to maintain it, then we don't need to be talking about a long, fluffy winter trim. We need some type of a modification on that trim so that it's doable for you and wearable to the dog. So pointing all that out to you guys is important for me to let you know this up front. Your dog shares many hairs in each follicle, that the winter months work against you as far as the weather goes. But I don't want to scare you off from wanting your dog to be beautiful and fluffy for the holidays and over the colder months, because you can do it. Longer coats are also prone to produce more dander and oils, which is another reason you will notice your dog has a doggy smell when he wears a longer coat. Did you ever notice that? They tend to start smelling a little like a dog. God love them, they are a dog. But they tend to be smelling a little bit more like a dog when their coat's longer. It's really because they produce more oils, more dander, and the coat is longer, and it kind of can hang on to all that stuff a little more than when the coat is in a shorter trim. And that doesn't mean that you can't keep your dog in a longer coat and have them smell pleasant, because you can keep your dog in a longer coat and have them smell pleasant if you follow my plan. And we're gonna get to it. But I have to explain some things to you guys. It means that you have to work harder to maintain your dog's longer coat and care for it more frequently. And I know most of you know this, but I have to say it. You know I do. Let's take another look at Gus while I'm talking here so you can kind of put something to it. Gus on the left is a spring-summer trim. Gus on the right is a fall-winter trim. Doesn't look like a lot more to deal with, but it is. It's a lot more coat. Trust me, I know. If you plan to keep your dog's coat longer during fall and winter, you have to ask yourself first, will I commit to bathing, conditioning every 2 to 3 weeks? It's an absolute must. And brushing your dog at least 3 times a week. Effectively brushing your dog at least 3 times a week. You have to ask yourself that if you want them to wear a longer, fuller, fluffy trim like Gus on the right is wearing. God, how can he wear 2 trims at once, right? So here's the thing though, guys. Many of you go, okay, Amy, brushing, bathing, and conditioning is not something that I'm properly set up for in my home. Or maybe you're saying, Amy, I struggle with performing these tasks properly, with brushing my dog even. I struggle with that. Then here's my answer. Work closely with your groomer to set up a tighter grooming schedule during these months while your dog wears a longer trim. So you just need to communicate. As a professional, it is common for my clients and me to add bi-monthly bath, condition, blow dry, and full brush outs between our routine existing regularly scheduled grooming appointments. I want you to know that is typical of what I go through with clients. We already, in fact, I know them so well. Usually I'm the one that brings it up in about September, but they're bringing it up to me. Hey, it's time to start tightening up this grooming schedule and schedule that every 2 to 3 week bath between his full groom, because I like to have him fluffy and pretty for Christmas. And I'm like, if you want it, you got it. We're working together here. That's what that is. And that's where most people and groomers fail when keeping a dog in a longer coat. You're not using your voices. You're not using your words. I know you guys know how to use words. It's where most people fail, and then the groomer goes through the trouble to do this nice, beautiful trim, and when it comes back in 6 weeks, it's a no-go. It's not kept well enough, and it's too much dematting to put the dog through. So pet owners ask for a longer trim style, and groomers often don't demand a tighter grooming schedule moving forward to maintain it. And that's important. If you are a pet parent who wants to keep your dog's coat longer during fall and winter, then tell your groomer about this plan before fall and winter. If you are a groomer, ask your clients upon checkout in September. If this is the haircut, this is their haircut goals, if this is what they're going to want to achieve for fall and winter, so that you can accommodate them for full grooms every 6 weeks with bi-monthly scheduled bath, condition, blowout, and brush out. And the pet client just has to maintain some brushing at home. So if you're not set up to take care of it at home, certainly you can just handle some of that in between brushing, and it will be enough to keep your pet's coat beautiful and long like you would prefer in fall and winter. But just having this communication together, pet parents and groomers, because you're on a team, you are. This is called being proactive. And as a professional, it's really being proactive, and it's being forward thinking as a pet parent. Say, hey, I already know I want my dog fluffy for fall, winter, and in the spring we're going to cut it back to a modified trim, modified version of that. So it's important to communicate with your groomer, guys, and make that plan, because they have to schedule it. And I'm going to get in here a little deeper on that, pet groomers and pet parents, and explain to you how that works for me, okay? And I did tell you that I am going to arm you with the right tools, products, and guide you to success in maintaining these longer trims, didn't I? Yes, I will. And I did say that, and I will do that. But not until you hear the reason more dogs are matted and stinky during the colder months when kept in longer coats. Yeah, gotta hear it. Gotta hear me talk some more. As a groomer with over 20 years of grooming dogs professionally, I quickly learned what my clients wanted and how to give it to them before they asked me. Say what? What am I talking about? Let me explain it to you. As a groomer with a full clientele, I learned the patterns of my clients as the seasons change throughout the year. Pay attention, you'll learn them. Many of you already know what I'm talking about. The patterns of my clients' requests for trimming vary throughout the year. It's like an algorithm. I can guarantee it. I know this brings this, and then that happens. This brings this, and then that happens. I know it's going to happen. In the spring, my clients, let me show you Gus again. So in the spring, they want a Gus on the left. Spring and summer, sometimes even a little shorter than Gus on the left for spring and summer. So that's what they're typically requesting. My clients are ready to transition at that point from longer trims to shorter trims in the spring. And this makes sense as spring brings new pollens, bugs, and even, mud from spring showers. That's a guarantee in our area. In the summer, my clients would choose shorter trims, even maybe a little shorter than Gus on the left, to keep their pets cooler. And often they wanted their dogs groomed on a 5-week schedule instead of 6 because they want to make sure they keep them comfortable. So I see these pattern changes in my clients throughout the seasons. We'll start to pay attention to that because you need to be able to adapt to that in your schedule. It's really important. And then as fall and winter approach, my customers requested longer trim styles for a couple of reasons, obviously. The weather was getting colder and they wanted their dog to have a longer coat to protect the skin from the cold. And they also liked the look of their dog with longer hair. And in the winter, they don't have to worry about, he's too hot, it's too much coat for him to wear. So do you see the pattern, guys? It's important to know what your clients want before they ask you for it. Why? I'm going to tell you why. You have to look at me. I'm talking here. Let me scoot up to you. I'll tell you why it's important to understand these patterns before they ask you for it. If you're a groomer especially. Because if you don't prepare for more frequent grooming for the dogs on your schedule, meaning if you're not prepared that you're going to be grooming them slightly more often with that in-between bath, then you're not going to be able to accommodate them. These are your valued clients and their pets adore you as their groomer. So you're connected, you're all in. You ain't getting out of this. You just got to have room on your schedule. That can be tough. So take care of them. You want to take care of them. They're your valued customers. And you are the professional, and it's your job to lead them with your expertise. You already know through watching their patterns over the years of the type of trim styles that they like. So you already know that they will be transitioning from a longer trim style to a shorter one in spring. So be certain to schedule longer grooming sessions in the spring because you will have to shorten all that longer, all that coat. It's more coat to work with. You're going to have to adjust the trim to a shorter trim from the winter trim. It's going to take you more time. This is definitely going to take a little more time than normal, so be prepared for it in your schedule, in the timelines of your schedule, and price accordingly. For that spring, transitioning from winter trim to spring trim, you're going to need to add some time to the grooming session for that because you're dealing with more coat, but you do have to charge for that. And customers expect that. More work is more work. You don't do the same work for less money or more work for less money. Your clients understand you better than you think you do. And if you're a pet parent that takes their dog to a groomer, then I hope you're understanding what I'm saying from a pet professional point of view. I'm being completely transparent and honest with you guys because we all want the same thing. We want our dogs to have these trims throughout the year, and they vary. The coat lengths will vary throughout the year. We want them to be happy. We want you to be happy. But there's a way to get there, and that's what I'm explaining to you guys right now. The pattern of your customers' needs, or if you're a pet parent, of your desires for your pet trims over the seasons is going to change. But that pattern reverses itself in September. When we went in the spring from winter to summer trim, in September we're going from summer trim to fall and winter trims. So remember that that pattern reverses. Pet groomers, listen. The pattern reverses in September when the clients are looking for longer trims during the fall and winter. Your schedule will allow more time because transitioning a dog from a shorter style trim to a longer style trim is less time consuming. Make use of that time, those time gaps that you have because you're going from shorter cuts to longer cuts. It just isn't going to take you as much time to do it. But make use of that. Make good use of those time gaps in your business to set up those intermittent grooming sessions that you will be needing to maintain your clients' pets in the winter when they have longer coats. Pre-schedule their appointments for that intermittent bath. It's important. And with that intermittent bath, we're doing shampoo, condition, blow dry, and brush outs. So we're helping them maintain this coat because we're good at it. We know exactly how to get it done. A pet owner may struggle to maintain all that coat on their own for 6 weeks. And if you already know that you're going to need these time slots because you know the pattern of your clients, then this is how you prepare for it. You take that time in September where it's not taking you as long to groom the dogs because you're going from shorter trims to longer trims. You take that time and you start scheduling these appointments for your clients. I mean, yes, you talk to them about it, but you say, this is what we need to do to maintain our beautiful little fluffy here through fall and winter. And they'll be like, okay, you're the professional. And that's called looking out for your clients and accommodating their needs. That's what it is. It's working together on a common goal. So fluffy is always the winner, right? And pet parents are happy. And the groomer's happy. Hey, we have feelings. We got feelings too. But can I see a hands up in the chat here if you're a groomer and you got feelings? You got feelings. I know you do. And when we're overworked, our feelings are not so much happiness. So, just working together is what gets this done. Now, I still didn't get to the magic sauce yet, so don't go anywhere. Just wait. So we know that they want longer coats in fall and winter, and you need to be prepared for it in your schedule to provide the grooming sessions that they're going to need. So we're going to need to lay those out there. We're going to need to schedule that stuff. Okay, so that's how groomers and pet parents make a plan for winter trims. So what is the plan for you if you want to maintain your dog's longer coat between grooming appointments? Here's where your ears perk up. This is what you need to do. And this is exactly what you need to do to keep your dog in a longer coat and to keep them mat-free. You need to keep your dog on a 6-week full groom schedule. That's one thing. No longer. Be sure your dog gets a full groom every 6 weeks and not longer. But we're not done with this little plan yet. Twice a week, make sure that you give your dog a full brush out using hydrating, dematting sprays. I always use the Quicker Slicker by Nature's Specialty. I love it very much. And I like to use my Artero flexible slicker brush. I linked both of these things for you in the description below. This is a wonderful hydrating, detangling, dematting spray, but it does more than that. Take a good look at it. The new label that you'll see if you click on the link is all yellow. I liked this label better. I wish they didn't change it. But they did. But it still says Quicker Slicker by Nature's Specialty. That's the important thing. It's the same thing, but their label has changed. So you have to be willing to have your dog groomed every 6 weeks, no questions asked, if you want your dog to be in a longer coat and mat-free. Twice a week, give your dog a full brush out using the hydrating spray, detangling spray, and a good slicker brush. And you may wonder, why do I need to use a detangling brush out spray during routine brush outs? I know what you're thinking. I'm trying to be proactive here. I'm thinking for you. You're thinking, why do I need to use this? Well, I'll tell you why. There are many reasons why you would use Quicker Slicker or a product like Quicker Slicker. It adds moisture and protection to the coat. And remember, colder months contribute to matting and tangles, because we just learned that, right? So we know that. This helps you keep them brushed out, and they will stay brushed out in better condition because it protects the coat. Brush out sprays also strengthen the fur and to tolerate more frequent brushing without damaging the coat. It's great to use a brush out spray because it kind of protects it. They also help in removing dead coat, which prevents matting. Often matting is dead coat that is not being brushed out of the coat. It's just hanging in there and it starts to intertwine on good coat. And that's the culprit for tangles and mats. So that's why brushing is the second thing that you have to be prepared to do at least twice a week. Good brush outs, twice a week if you're going to keep your dog in a longer coat. And it's easier to brush through a coat properly when you use a brush out spray. So it just helps you brush them out. It protects them. It protects the hair. And so now you're thinking, well, what about the brush? Does it matter? Yes, especially for a thick coat types, or dogs that have a coat that will tangle easily. So if that's your dog, a coat that tangles easily, or it's a thicker coat type, then you absolutely want to be using a slicker brush. You must use a slicker brush without question. The slicker brush allows you to properly brush from the skin out, ensuring the coat is completely brushed out. And it also is firm enough to just get a hold of some of that dead hair and pull it out as you're brushing. Not pull it out of the follicles. It's already out of the follicle. It's just hanging in the coat. You need to get it out of there. It's going to cause tangles. So slicker brush and Quicker Slicker brush out spray is your friend to keep your dog in a longer coat. Okay? Take a good look. You need to have them. It's very important. Not a pin brush. We're talking about especially a dog that mats easily, a coat that mats easily, or a thicker, dense coat, which is the majority of the dogs that I groom. That's, unless we're talking about a short coat, obviously, that's easy to maintain, and we're not talking about growing the coat if it can't grow any longer. And we're not talking about double-coated dogs either as far as maintaining them. That is a whole different maintenance program on a double-coated dog. Other than this is the same. Your slicker brush, your brush out spray, frequently brushing. Any coat that sheds, especially a double coat that's thick like a golden retriever or a Bernese Mountain Dog, you're going to want to brush them at least twice a week. This is year round. And you're going to want to use this spray, and you're going to want to use a slicker brush, and you're definitely going to want to do a bath, condition, blow dry, and full brush out every 4 weeks. That's how you maintain a double coat. Obviously, we're not giving them a haircut, so that's why I said it's a little different. It is. But this is how you keep a coat tangle-free. So the last thing that I want to talk about as far as the steps that you're taking to keep your dog mat-free in a long coat is to understand that it's imperative, absolute must, to shampoo, condition, dry, and brush your dog every 2 to 3 weeks when the coat is longer. It's important. Failing to add that full bathing, conditioning, brushing, drying session in every 2 to 3 weeks in between your 6-week groom if you fail to do that, it usually will always result in matting. And not only matting, it's going to result in a stinky dog. Your dog has a longer coat, it's going to harbor more dander and oils, and that's what you're smelling. Earlier I mentioned that you do not have to deal with that doggy smell if you follow my instructions, right? Well, that's absolutely right. The solution to keep this doggy smell at bay is the intermittent bath, condition, blow dry, and brush out session between your full grooms, especially when you have the dog in a longer coat. Conditioner is the key to balancing the skin and coat 100%. Don't skip it, ever. I don't care. Don't listen to what anybody else says. Listen to me. Conditioner is the key to balancing the skin and coat and removing oil buildup, and believe it or not, preventing matting and doggy odors. Conditioner is the secret to that. Everybody thinks it's the shampoo. Shampoo does its job, cleanses all that dander and dirt out of there, but the condition is what balances out everything out and keeps your dog smelling good for longer after you do that. So if you do not condition your dog after shampooing, you will also notice that the dog will mat faster if you don't condition them. Conditioner hydrates the coat. It strengthens it at the same time, which is very important for a longer coat, if your dog's going to wear a longer coat. So always condition your dog regardless of what breed it is. Visit my Amazon store link below. There's a shampoo and conditioner category there. All the products linked on my Amazon store are great products, and it doesn't matter which one you use. It's a winner. All of them are going to set you and your pet up for success because I only pick the ones that will. And it doesn't matter what coat type. You can use a de-shedding shampoo on a dog that doesn't shed. The important thing is the quality of the shampoo and conditioner, honestly. I don't get wrapped up. And I have a drop coat. I have to use this type of shampoo and conditioner. I have a white dog. I have to use this. I have experienced enough with playing with these shampoos over the years to learn that doesn't matter. What I have learned matters is to use quality products and to absolutely condition every dog. That's what I've learned. That's the key to bliss on any coat type. And yes, some shampoos or conditioners you may think they perform better on a certain coat type, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. I haven't noticed that to be a big deal, that it really makes or breaks. What makes or breaks is if you don't condition them. That breaks the deal. That's a deal breaker. Then your dogs are not going to stay brushed out as long. They're going to mat quicker. Their skin and coat is not balanced. You could see dry, itchy, flaky skin. You didn't condition. Everybody should be conditioning every dog every time. If you want a high quality shampoo and conditioner, try the Petals and Tail line that's linked below, but don't forget to use my code and save 15%. And the Petals and Tails can be used, again, on any coat type. It doesn't matter, but it doesn't have to be a dog that's suffering from a problem. It also helps to prevent those problems by keeping the skin balanced. So if your dog does have some pretty good itchy, scratchy stuff going on, the Petals and Tails is definitely going to be helpful in that, and it's going to kick things going in the right direction pretty quick. So let's recap for this video before I get to your questions. If you have a question, please put a line in front of it by pressing and holding the dash key to create a line and then type your question, because I want to get you some answers. So let's recap before we get there. In order to keep your dog's coat longer and mat free, you must do the following. You must do a full groom every 6 weeks, no question about it. Every 6 weeks, full groom. You must do an intermittent maintenance bath, condition, blow dry, and brush out every 2 to 3 weeks between that grooming appointment. So depending on the length of the dog's coat, you may want to do it every 2 weeks. So if your dog is on a 6-week grooming schedule and you can't go any longer than that if you're going to have a dog and longer coat, if the dog's on a 6-week grooming schedule, you can do every 2 weeks. You can do 2 weeks later, bring it in for that bath, condition, blow dry, and brush out. This is keeping them mat free. And then 2 weeks later, you do that again with your groomer. Or if you're capable of doing it properly, like a professional, then you may do it too. But if you're not, don't kid yourself. Your dog's going to mat. And then that second 2 weeks is when your dog is up for a full groom again. So obviously a full shampoo, condition, blowout is included in that. But definitely you have to do these things to keep your dog in longer coat for fall and winter, for the colder months, if you're going to have your dog in longer coat. But thirdly, there's one more thing that you have to do. You have to perform full brush outs using a brush out spray like Quicker Slicker and a slicker brush at least twice a week. At least. Okay? And that, my friend, is how you keep your dog in a longer coat and tangle-free. That's the secret. But you have to do it. That is what has to be done. I have clients that would banter a little with me, and I want him long, I want him this, I don't want to groom him till 8 weeks because it's Christmas and I'm going to save some money. I'm like, you're not saving money on your dog's groom. Find another place to save money. But this isn't the one. This is his care. Don't skimp on it. Well, you just have to talk to people, you know, and you have to remind them what is important to them. And I guarantee you their dog is important to them. I guarantee it. Some people just feel like they can push it off, the grooming appointment off, because they think we as professionals can handle it, but they're actually making it very hard for me and the dog by doing that. And that's really not a win-win for anybody except their wallet. They saved, what, $20 by pushing the groom off a few more weeks. It doesn't make sense. It just, you have to ask yourself, does that make sense? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So let's get some questions answered here from all my lovely people in the audience. It's great to see you guys. I love the topic. I hope that it was helpful for you and right on time. I think it might be, because I know it's getting pretty cold here. So I'm looking for people with lines in front of their questions so I can get them answered. And these questions are definitely going to help other people. So Susie has a question. Says, is Gus's winter coat only one length, head, body, and legs? No, Susie, it at times, it depends on how I'm feeling and how much overtime I want to put in on my own dog. You know, I like to play around with him because I can, because he's here and we can take breaks if we want to. So typically with Gus, I set his body and I do a lot of skimming work with a guard comb. His winter trim is usually about a 5/8 of an inch guard comb is what I typically go for. I believe it's a yellow colored comb. And I'll set and skim my shape on him. But when I say skimming, I'm really not coming against his actual bone. I'm just pretending I'm making a shape with my guard comb and clipper. So basically he gets a kind of a scissored trim. I'll set the length on the top of his head. Often I'll set the length under the chin, maybe even the cheeks, with probably 2 guard combs higher, which would be 3/4 of an inch. I think that's a green one. So I would do that, and then I will use the 5/8 inch down the back of the neck, coming down off the rump, and bleeding off into the hips, just blending it off, and then scissor all that together. Just, I don't often get to do a lot of scissor work because that's in pet grooming. Pet grooming is to, you know, make it a comfortable trim, nice and tidy. Most people don't do this with their dogs because they can't maintain it. And the only way they can maintain it is by doing what we talked about right here tonight. That's the only way to maintain Gus on the right. I like saying that, Gus on the right, Gus on the left. And honestly, Gus on the left, I really do love keeping him like this. But in the winter, you know, we have more time, we're bored, we have more downtime. I do enjoy playing around with him and grooming because I have more time to do it in the winter. So it's fun for me to, you know, kind of give him more of a fuller look in the winter. And then in the summer, in the spring, we go to Gus on the left, which keeps him really tidy and very easy to keep brushed out. My brush outs for him take me about 5 minutes. That's it. Versus Gus on the right, that's a brush out and I have to bathe him no less than every 2 weeks and condition him when he's Gus on the right. So I have to say to myself, am I prepared to do all that work? Am I going to do it? Because say I have a huge busy month coming at me. Maybe I'm going to shows, I'm doing things, it's holidays too, whatever. I got to say to myself, are you able to maintain him, or should you go a little shorter right now and we try that look in January? You just have to be honest with yourself and say, am I able to do this work? Am I going to be able to do it? And if not, there's no shame in that. Be honest with yourself. And I do it all the time with Gus, with my own dog. Say, well, do I want to maintain that? Not sure. So that's what I did for him, Susie. And Sheila says, is a week bath too often, every week? Well, as long as you are over rinsing all products out of the coat, shampoo and then conditioner, and you're using quality hydrating shampoos and conditioners, especially the conditioner. It is not. You can bathe a dog every week, but don't ever skip the conditioner. Don't do it anyway, no matter when. But if you skipped conditioning and you're bathing every week, you're really standing a chance to severely dry out your dog's skin and create an imbalance of natural oils, creating more dander, more dry skin, more itching, and all those things. But if you're using quality products, Sheila, you can do it. And over rinsing everything out, that is very important. A lot of people think when you condition, you want to leave a little bit of that conditioned residue behind. No, it is exactly what I just said it is. It's residue. And residue will start to ask anything it comes into contact with to come on into the dog's coat and have a party and stick in there. You don't want that. You want them rinsed clean. You allow the conditioner to sit on the dog at least 5 minutes, if not longer, Sheila, because you're balancing out the skin. That's very important. And shampoo and conditioner both have a sit time, guys. They have to sit in the coat just a little bit. Shampoo about 3 minutes. Conditioner, I like to have conditioner sitting in a coat. With Big Gus, I condition him for about 15 minutes. But while I have the conditioner on him, I'm gently brushing it through the coat too. And then I'll add a little water, little warm water in, and then I'll gently brush some more. It's a process, but people feel like they have to rush through the bathing process, which includes the condition step. If you rush through the bathing process, that is the actual most important part of the groom for the dog, is the bathing process. And of course, not wearing mats is important. The haircut is important to the dog, absolutely. But without the proper matching skin and coat care and taking the time to do it right, you're really not doing the dog any favor. So just so you get the full boat of value out of grooming your dog or the dogs you groom, take your time with the bathing and conditioning process. It's important. So that answers Sheila's question. The next question comes from Amy Sutton. And Amy says, how would you break down a groom into multiple sessions for a 2-year-old Lab Great Pyrenees mix? Never been groomed. Never been groomed? 2 years old? Amy, what are you talking about? Anxious, and it has tight mats on the chest and the pants. I want to build a good relationship. Amy, if you have a 2-year-old Lab Pyrenees mix and it's matted, that's not a job for a novice. That's a job for somebody who really knows what they're doing. And that's the best advice I can give you, Amy. I'm not trying to discourage you. I don't know if you're insinuating that you are going to do the grooming, but I want you to be prepared in your mind to think that you don't let a dog get into that condition before you decide to give it a go. Maybe this is a rescue. I'm not sure. In which case, Amy, you do need to practice a lot of desensitizing things, even if you're going to be taking this guy to a professional groomer to have it taken care of nicely, safely, and you know it's going to look decent. But you could be desensitizing him a lot to grooming, and sometimes you need to do that. A 2-year-old dog is not used to grooming. That's going to be a big experience for that dog. And then when you say he has mats, now this is probably a customer, Amy, I'm assuming. I'm not sure. But now he's got mats. He's really going to be reluctant, and it could create a little bit of a fear period for him about grooming. And we always want to avoid that. So Amy, let's say this is a client. How would I do that? How would I break down a 2-year-old Lab Great Pyrenees mix into several grooming appointments? Well, when I talked about this, where did I talk about this last? In our last live stream? And I believe I just talked about it with the hounds yesterday. Okay, my channel members. So here's what I suggest, Amy. They have to be very close together. So one day, bring the dog in. Let's just get up on the table. The table's foreign to the dog, right? Absolutely. What's this? I don't know. Oh, it goes up. I don't like it. He's got to get used to it, right? Okay. Let's do some table time. We'll do some brushing, get him used to you, getting used to having something in your hand. And maybe if you say he's matted or whatever, just pretend those mats aren't there. Let's just keep brushing. We're desensitizing. Because he requires a lot of brushing, and his future being is going to require a lot of brushing. So trimming nails, maybe shaving paw pads in that session, and then let's send him home. But schedule this with the client that, okay, now I want him back tomorrow. So you have to pre-schedule all this and make sure that you can do all these things. I want him back tomorrow, and I'm going to bathe him. I'm going to bathe him, and we're going to shampoo, condition. I'm going to use absorber towels and pull as much moisture out of this coat as possible so that he doesn't have to spend a lot of time drying because he's new to it. And it could be upsetting. Definitely use happy hoodies, or you can kind of makeshift your own with a towel and a little, I have a shorts video on that. I don't know what it was called. It was a little Velcro thing. But anyway, protect his hearing. Anything to calm him. Happy hoodies are great. He sounds like a huge dog. I don't know if they make happy hoodies that big without it being too tight. But so the next session you would do the bathing, the conditioning, and maybe separating a lot of those mats in the tub when the conditioner is on and working them out a little bit. You're probably going to if there's matting, you're probably going to need to go short eventually. But, we don't want to throw too much at him at once. And then send him home. The next day, get him back in. And I never recommend let's bathe, condition, dry a dog and bring him back in the next day. But we know we're going to be taking this guy down pretty short. So do it. So break it into 3 or 4 sessions, Amy, in the same week. That's how close together they need to be. Because as soon as he feels he's like, okay, I've had enough of this. That grooming session is ending and he goes home. So in his brain, it goes, He comes back tomorrow. He didn't realize it was just yesterday that he was there, but he's still familiar with you. He's still familiar with the environment, with your grooming table. So it's almost very effective to bring them back in the next day like that. But they have that downtime in between to relax, but they're getting small doses of grooming, they're getting small doses of you, and they're learning to trust the process. So that's what I would do, Amy, in a very serious situation like that, where you're talking about a big dog who is not used to being groomed. You don't want to take your chances and assume, I think we can get through it, and schedule 3 hours and it just goes to pot, right? So try it that way. Break it down into about 4 sessions in the same week. And I think once you have a dog where you want them to be mentally and they trust you, you're going to have it. It's going to always progress better and better every time, because he's already decided that he trusts you and he's learning about the grooming process with you. So that's what I would say. And Mary Lee says, hi, when you add conditioner spray, do you lightly dampen the fur, and does it need to be worked into the fur? Brushing kind of works it through. So with this, I lightly mist. If I'm doing a leg on Big Gus, I'll hold his leg out and I'll and then I'll run my hand through it, and then I'll start brushing it through. And sometimes you'll feel like you want to add a little more. You don't want to soak the coat with this. Then, you are kind of looking at adding too much buildup. It would be a little greasy, and you don't want that, but it seriously helps. There's other brush out sprays too. This one I do like. This is by Petology. You can get this at the Groomer's Choice link below, where you can save 10% with me if you use my code. But this is the keratin fortifying, and as you can see there, it repairs and strengthens, and that's what you want out of a brush out spray. And I like this one because it doesn't seem to leave buildup either. I'm always looking for something that doesn't leave buildup if I'm talking about a brush out spray. So that's why those two are my favorite. So yeah, hopefully that helps you. You don't want it too wet. You want to mist it, and it'll fall down on the coat. Run your hand through it. And I do sections at a time. I won't go through the whole dog, mist, brush. I start with areas at a time. I'll start with the ears. I'll mist it over the top of the head, and I'll brush out the head. I'll mist it on the body. I'll brush the body. I break it into sections so that it's still sort of damp in the coat. And that adds a little elasticity and helps you brush it out easier too. So there's a lot of reasons why brush out spray helps so much. So I hope that that answered your question for you. Sheila says, thanks, I use Tropiclean shampoo and conditioner. I think you're good there, Sheila. You should be fine. Mary Lee says, does a dog experience pain when hair is pulled from the ears? If it's done improperly, yes. If the dog has a slightly, hi Uncle Sam's niece. I see you. I see all of you. If the dog has a slight irritation in the ear that you can't even see, and when you pluck the ear, you may hear a wince. Ooh, but you don't even know that it's sore down there because you can't see that far. So sometimes it could cause pain if the ear, if the method is incorrect, if you don't absolutely know what you're doing, you should not be putting anything in a dog's ear. If you absolutely know what you're doing and you're going to take little bits at a time and get a hold of it at the right spot. So there's tricks to ear plucking that you need to know. You shouldn't just go in on it thinking, I can just do it. Got to be careful. But if there is a little irritation in the ear, you might hear some wincing coming from the dog, and you think, why did he wince, for his left ear, and I worked on the right ear, and he didn't seem to mind it. Well, that could be because there's just a little, some swelling down in there from irritation that we can't see. So hopefully that answers your question. Mary Lee says, I bought a 3-in-1 shampoo product. Should I purchase a separate shampoo and conditioner? You can use the 3-in-1 shampoo product as your shampoo, but you need a separate conditioner. I've said it before here, guys. I never ever recommend you use 2-in-1 shampoos. You can use them as the shampoo, but don't think you don't need to condition. Conditioner and shampoo are two different things. They do two different things. They're not chemically made the same way. They're not made the same way. And putting them together just gives you a very hydrating shampoo. That's all. And let's be honest. That's all it is. A very hydrating shampoo. So you still need a conditioner. So you can still use the shampoo that you got as the shampoo, but use an absolute straight up conditioner to do the conditioning step. Make sure you dilute appropriately according to the label, and you'll be golden. Did I see another one? Is that all the questions we have? I didn't miss anything, did I? Scroll again. Okay. Well, brush out sprays. Guys, I use brush out sprays all the time in the salon on Gus. Brushing a dry coat, for one, it's just not going to be as effective. These brush out sprays strengthen the hair a little bit, and if we got to work a little bit of the dead or the thick coat out, it helps us to do that. It adds pliability and stretch in the coat. We call it slip too. So we can slide out the dead hair that we don't want in there. So always use your brush out sprays and use them sparingly. You don't need to overdo it. I see somebody does have a question here. Arkansas Girl says, do you have any suggestions for grooming a Griffon? A Griffon Vandine. I'm not sure what a Vandine is, if that's a different term for something I'm not familiar with. I know what a Griffon is. Are you thinking about there's Brussels Griffon, but I'm thinking about, you're thinking about a pointer, a hunting dog. In which case, how would I groom? I probably wouldn't do any clipping other than paw pads and some blending shear work just to tidy up areas that were a little out of sorts. But a Griffon, we like to have that natural look. That's their gig, that's their look. So a shaved Griffon would never interest me to do that. As far as, you might be wondering, do you strip it? Well, if the dog hasn't been brought up to have a stripped coat, then I wouldn't start now. You can, when the dog is in the tub with conditioner on, is a good time to use your slicker brush, and in the lay of the coat, the way the coat falls, brush the conditioner through gently, and you will find you would just be pulling out a lot of dead hair, the same as stripping, but it's safer to do it that way. If you're not sure what you're doing with stripping, you really shouldn't be doing it. And I'm just saying that to, as a caution to you guys. It's important to know how to do it properly. So hopefully that helps you, and I think you might have, I think what it is like a Griffon, it must be like a pointer dog, like a pointing Griffon, wire-haired pointing Griffon or whatever. CMM says, will slicker spray help with getting out the little slicker burrs? Yeah, absolutely. And your slicker brush is ideal for that, CMM. Those little burrs that you try to pick them out, you can't get anywhere with them, but they're so dry and brittle that when you start to break them apart with a slicker brush, they just fall apart. And then you can brush them out of the coat. That's the easiest way to get them out of the coat, is to slicker brush them out of the coat. The slicker brush has such close together fine teeth, it gets a hold of them, it breaks them apart because they're brittle. And a quicker slicker or brush out spray will definitely aid in that process. So that's a good question, and you'll be amazed at how well that works. It really does. Debbie N says, do you know of any unscented brush out sprays? Boy, not many, but I will tell you, no. A lot of people ask for that. I don't know if it's for them or for the dog, if they don't like the smells. Everything has a bit of a smell because of ingredients that are in here. It's almost impossible to make this stuff in a non-smell. One thing you could try is maybe an anti-static spray. I do like Davis's anti-static spray, which would still help with brushing out, and it doesn't seem to leave a residue, but you'll want to go light on that spray. You don't want to spray too much. A lot of them are just very subtle in smell to begin with, so it really doesn't linger long or anything. Yes, Elsie, I like that. The iGroom Wonder Spray, is it completely unscented? Because I have it. It still has a smell. Everything has a little bit of a smell because of the ingredients that are in it. But I do have the Wonder Spray, but I've never noticed that it has no smell. But it probably has very little smell. So maybe try that one. iGroom has great products, absolutely. So and they have a lot of options with brush out sprays, with shampoos and conditioners too. You can't go wrong with any of those. Sheila says, I am a first-time pet owner and have watched so many advisors. I'm so very happy that I stumbled upon you, Amy. Oh, I'm so glad too, Sheila. The very practical advice along with simplified explanations have helped me so much. Well, that makes me happy, Sheila, and that's why I do what I do. I want to help you. So I'm very happy to hear that it's going well and you're staying confident and all the things. Elsie says, ingredients smell but unscented. No fragrance. I get it. Yeah, no perfumes or any of that. So there's a slight smell to everything, even when they try to be as green as possible, you know, but it's nearly impossible to be completely scent-free on a brush-out spray because of the ingredients. Linda says, hi, Amy. The instructions on the shampoo and conditioner I use are to use straight up. Would you recommend to dilute in water to help get through the coat better and to bubble up? I think, Linda, that a lot of products don't say to use them straight up, and they don't say to dilute them. But I always try to dilute most of my products. If it says use it straight up, I would try a dilution of maybe 3-to-1 and see how you feel about it. You still want to make sure you're feeling that the dog is getting good and clean, and you want to be able to dilute the conditioner down enough that it does its job, but it still rinses beautifully from the coat. So I would just play around with it and don't dilute too heavy at first. I would try like a 3-part water, 1-part product. Shake it real good and see how you like it. If it feels like it's not cleaning well enough, then I guess, because I don't know what product you're using, if it's a professional line or if it's like, you know, something that claims like Burt's Bees or whatever, you know, I don't use that stuff as a professional. I stick strictly with the professional lines of stuff. So I'm not sure, but I would try dilute it slow and easy. Don't dilute too heavily and see what happens. And Lois says, Amy, just a quick update for Squirt. The non-grooming table is working out nicely so far. Non-grooming table. I forget what your setup is, Lois. Did you make a grooming table? Maybe that's what. You made a space to work with Squirt. Hey, if you get it to work and it works for you and squirt and your back's not killing you, then it's a win. So good for you. Uncle Sam's niece says, what's a good product to add some texture or stiffness to a floppy wavy head on a porty? Okay, I got one in mind. Looking for lift to give it a fuller look if possible. Thanks, Amy. No problem. So, table time. Yeah, good for you, Lois. I love that table time. One thing that I have used in the past is made by Easy Groom, E and Z, E-Z Groom. They make shampoos, conditioners, and sprays, and they have one called Rough Out. And I found that I liked that. That's probably the one that sticks in my mind the most. There's so many products out there, Uncle Sam's niece, that, you know, claim to add volume. I hear a lot of other people talking on social media how they like some of the Artero volumizing sprays. But I steer away from anything like that because I'm afraid it's going to end up causing buildup in the coat tomorrow, the next day, or whatever. So, but Rough Out I liked. I did like that one. It left a great impression on me, but I typically only use brush out sprays for everyday grooming because I've chosen ones that I know are not going to weigh down the coat and they're not going to add buildup. But a lot of other things like that are possibly going to add buildup in the coat, and I tend to shy away from that kind of stuff. So try the Rough Out. I think you might like it. It's good. I used it on a Bouvier, and you know how they can be kind of floppy. I was competing with them, and I actually used it. I bought it at the show for that reason, because his hair was so limp. And I liked it. It helped me with scissoring. It helped give it lift so I could properly put the shape on and do my scissor work. So give it a shot. Rough Out by Easy Groom. Well, guys, I am going to fall out of here tonight. I want to remind you I have a weekly newsletter that you could sign up for that is free to you if you sign up. It will come to your email inbox every Friday at 8 a.m., written by yours truly from me to you. I think you will love it. Everybody has given a lot of positive feedback. So it's in the description if you want to sign up for that. Channel members, hounds, we just had a great learning session yesterday. Remember, you can rewatch it. If you haven't watched it yet and you're a channel member or a hound, you can watch it and download your PDF for your notebooks. It was a great PDF included in that lesson. It was wonderful. If you're not a channel member and you'd like to take your dog grooming knowledge to a new level, there's a link below where you can check that out. I would, if you're going to sign up to be a channel member, do it on a computer, because apparently iPhones charge you differently than a computer does. I set the price at $4.99, and whatever happens from there is on operating systems and how they cooperate with YouTube. It's been a real mystery, but my advice is to sign up to join my channel as a member on a computer, and it tends to always be $4.99 a month like it's supposed to be. Our next live from the grooming table is scheduled for Monday, November 28th. Yeah, that's right after Thanksgiving. It is. No, that's wrong. Not November 28th. Oh my gosh, it's in 2 weeks. Why would I have that in there? Holy moly. The next live from the grooming table is 2 weeks from today, whatever that is. Let's ask, hey Siri, what's the date 2 weeks from today? And she's telling you now. That's the day we're live. All right. Now in closing this live stream, my friends, I want to thank you all for being here. I adore you. I'm so glad of what we create together here on the Go Groomer community on YouTube. What we have created, our private Facebook group is amazing. I'm thankful to all our troopers, our helpers, Janelle, Court Rambler. All you people help me so much here on YouTube with the chat and over in those Facebook groups. Ashley Hoots, Elsie Wong, oh my gosh. I love all of you. SVCC Toy Schnauzers, I see you're here. You guys are wonderful. I am so thankful for all of you, each and every one of you. I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks, and we're going to have another great topic so we can all groom happily to ever after together, right? Happily ever after. But before we go, I'm going to show you the Super Bowl commercial that touched hearts all over the world. The Farmer's Dog commercial. I'm a partner with the Farmer's Dog, and I can save you 80% on your first 2-week supply of Farmer's Dog if you'd like to try the fresh food for your pet. This is what Big Gus eats. Ellie Grace and Grace all eat the Farmer's Dog. And you better not be putting a finger near the bowl because you might lose it. They love it. But it's healthy for them. So in closing, long, say it with me. Say it with me. Come on. Now put your tissues down for a second. Yeah, put the tissue down. You ready? Long live our dogs.